So, the Naked and Famous, what inspires that name?
It was a line in a Tricky song. Yeah, there's a track called Tricky Kid. It's off Pre-Millennium Tension. It's a 1996 album. It's just, I thought it was a good, funny name, good tongue-in-cheek sort of name. And it seems to hopefully kind of convey the cynicism that I think exists within, the ideas of what we think are important and what are unimportant and stuff. So,
you're from New Zealand. What's the music scene like in New Zealand? I'm not really aware of it.
That is it. Your unawareness is probably the most accurate description. It's more of an industry than a scene. There are little, very, very small scenes by comparison to the rest of the world. It's such a self-contained environment, if you know what I mean. There's not really that much. There's some great musicians, some great bands. We have hometown heroes, bands like the Mint Chicks, and there was like a legendary Australasian sort of rock band, and there's a fantastic band, Kids of 88, who we've done a lot of touring with over there, really dear friends of ours. But I mean, as far as like coming from a hub, like, there's places like The Smell in Los Angeles and a whole lot of noise rock bands come out of there. There's nothing really like that, and no equivalent. So everything that is successful within New Zealand is really a one-off. There's one of these type of hip-hop groups, and there's one of those types of rock groups, and standalone sort of things.
So America and Europe is the main music industry place. So where are you based at the moment? Are you just traveling everywhere?
Tonight it's Glasgow, and tomorrow it's wherever the hell we're heading. I think for this year, for the most part, we will be predominantly staying in the UK. I think we will be doing as much work in America as we can, because the record comes out simultaneously here and in the States. So we're making like as many trips over there as we possibly can. But I think obviously because the industry works so much faster over here, we'll probably be more concentrated over here. But essentially, just UK and America.
It's March the 14th.
Yeah, I think it's 15th, and then maybe like the 18th for America, and I think 14th for Europe. And it's like a week, and then it comes out everywhere.
Young Blood. I read somewhere that it was inspired by the TV show Skins. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but
it's no, it's probably just a silly reference that we were throwing out. It's that kind of it's associated to an idea that has something to do with that, but it's not inspired by Skins. Although I have watched that show quite a bit. Elisa and I wrote that. Elisa, it was quite a special song on the album, because it was just one of those like songs that wrote itself. It was like Elisa just wrote the main key line, and then I just thought, that is a cool hook. I'm gonna go demo something up straight away. Ran to the computer, and that was the song, and then gave it to her and said, can you write some lyrics? And she wrote the lyrics. She gave it back to me, and I wrote some lyrics, and then that was it. It was done. And then gave it to Aaron, and we took it into the studio, and it was like one day produced. It was this immaculate process, this flawless kind of just sort of like falling creative ideas just spewing out. And that was the first track we recorded off the album. So it was like, doing that and then having it so flawless, and then it doing so well, we were like, wow, it was a pretty good start.
As it got to number one in New Zealand, but I'm not sure whether it's been officially released in the UK. Are you going to, I think it was maybe last year, are you going to re-release it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was actually kind of accidentally released. It was just picked up by people in blogs and stuff like that, and people were really just, I don't know, it just travelled very naturally. So yeah, I mean, it will be serviced properly to radio and that sort of thing.
As Farron Cotton had that as her record of the week, I think last week.
Yeah, we probably owe her a drink or two. She was one of the people that played it before it even had any traction. She just picked up on it, thought it was good, and played it. So we owe some thanks to a few people.
The first actually I heard of you as a band was from Sound of 2011. And how do you feel about that? Are you happy that you were selected in the shortlist?
Yeah, well, I mean, for us this is all new, so we have no real reason for it to be at all. There's no stigma attached to any of the press we get over here because it's all new. So I mean, everything's great.
Yeah, I don't think it's right when people complain about just getting out there.
People complain about getting
Yeah, well, I think some people think it's a lot of pressure and hype, and they want to keep away from that. But have you heard any of the others in the shortlist? Do you like any of them? There's Jesse J, James Blake, Jamie Noon.
I think I've met a whole bunch of guys with the J in their names. I've been meaning to check out one of those guys because someone compared them to Bon Iver. Which one would that be?
That could be James Blake.
So yeah, someone said in the vein of, and I was a huge Bon Iver fan, so I've been meaning to look at that person. I'm going to make a note to do that right now. Thank you.
But you were my favourite of the whole 15. Yeah. So yeah, which is your favourite band? at the moment? I've heard Nine Inch Nails. One of your
yeah, I mean, they've just always been a huge inspiration to us from the get-go. That's kind of like always one of our go-to references. You know, it's one of the first bands that Aaron and I were like, when we were talking about music, and I'd met him for the first time, I was like, oh, what are you into? Nine Inch Nails, and we just went, and stressed out, and started like, you know, talking about production and stuff. And for him and myself, that's always been like our producer type role model, I think, because like we'd like to consider ourselves producers, and you know, someone like that is who we essentially, you know, like to become, you know, producer, but also lead person, songwriter, band orientated guy. So yeah, always been a big inspiration. But at the moment, what am I listening to? I just bought the new Radiohead album, so I've always been a huge Radiohead fan. So
what did you think of it?
I've only given it a quick listen, but I think it's fascinating already. I'm just kind of at that point though where bands I love so much, I only really love them. I never really that critical of bands I love. I'm just like, oh, it's cool, it's a new record, brilliant, oh, sweet, you know, like I just, I wouldn't go analysing it to buggery, and but some of my favourite bands the last couple of years have been things like Frightened Rabbit, Fuck Buttons are one band, very very recent band that I've just gotten onto, which I've just really thought were fantastic, really spectacular. But yeah, I mean, you know, popular alternative music, we listen to all of it really, you know, so.
Would you ever considering collaborating with anyone, or a band, or an artist?
Definitely. I mean, we've got some ideas, and we're trying to work on it at the moment. So yeah.
Great. I look forward to that. So the album Passive Me, Aggressive You, I've heard I think 2 or 3 songs from it, and I'll hopefully buy it. But what would you do to make me buy it? Like, sell it to me? Does it sound like the singles, or is it different?
Probably just get a gun and force you to the store. I wouldn't make you buy it if you didn't want to buy it. But I mean, it's hard to talk about getting people to get into albums nowadays. You know, everyone's attention span is so short, and I don't know. We're an album band. You know, I think we will continue to be an album band until we feel like that's not relevant anymore. But I still feel like albums are relevant, and I still think that might be because Aaron and I are producers as well, and we focus so much on this bigger picture, and I'm such a control freak, you know. I don't like people stepping in and trying to change like a vision that I think might be solid or fine on its own, you know. So I can only hope that people are still willing to give Patience a try, you know, and try something and listen to it and the way it's intended to be listened to. So
that's from track 1 to the finish, all the way, just.
Yeah, I mean, at least once. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone has to listen to it like that all the time, but as a body of work, we feel very confident about the album and all of its tracks. You know, we didn't like put any one track on there just because we had it. We thought that it painted a very decorative picture of all the things that we found were clever about what we created. You know, we thought all these songs have aspects about them that are all individual, but they all come together nicely. So that'll make a great set of songs. You know.
So you mentioned that you like the producing part aspect, but which matters more to you, the sound of the records or the lyrics?
I mean, I find that in pop music it goes hand in hand. I think personally I've always understood it being important that they are married. That in pop music, not just the lyrics, but the actual the voice in total, you know, which is lyrics, tone, affecting performance. You know, that whole aspect plus the music it's just one thing really. I mean, and within the band we don't really view any one instrument as insignificant. It just depends on the song. Like there might be a song that is very vocal, so you know we're not so fussed on the level of the guitar, but there's another song where the guitar noise is crucial to make the vocal sound good. So it's a confusing process, but I mean within the band, I mean Elisa and I write the lyrics. Sometimes we take a turn per song, so all of this was pretty much my lyrics. Young Blood is majority hers, I wrote my bridge. Girls Like You is me. Jilted Lovers is entirely Elisa. But and the general process is, you know, we are Elisa and I the main songwriters, Aaron and I the main producers, and all the band plays on the record. So there's, you know, 3 very, very important processes, and they're all codependent, you know. But I mean, you know, there are exceptions to the rule. Like on the album, Spank was a track that Aaron presented to Elisa and I, and there are songs like Young Blood where it wouldn't have ended up the way it was had we not performed it in a room and rehearsed it before recording it. So yeah.
So the follow-up to Passive Me Aggressive, have you thought about that at all? Have you started writing?
Yeah, I'm always keeping busy, and I just have a fanatical kind of desire to make little notes, just like that. Now I have this fantastic note program where I can just put them all down on my stickies and
brilliant.
Just fill it up with good song ideas.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's how most of Passive Me Aggressive You was actually written while I was working a day job. I was just constantly filling up my pants with all these little notes on the back of like business cards and stuff like that. So,
have you ever heard any of your songs and played on any TV shows? There's Chuck, Gossip Girl, and Vampire Diaries is the other one. Have you noticed that?
No, yeah. In order to get played on TV, you have to get they have to get permission and pay you a hefty amount of money. So we had noticed, but I mean that stuff's all very well and good. I've never minded people paying me to try and make themselves look cooler, which is totally fine. Which is all that syncing really is. But no, none of those are my favourite shows. So, but I don't mind. Yeah,
it's all good. And so finally, to round off, what are your aims for the year for 2011? What would you like to have achieved?
I'd like to be further down the track of the second record. I don't want to sit around just touring entirely. I don't want to do that cycle where it's just like you just execute for a long time and then just then start being creative. I want to keep creative. I think that's a huge goal of mine. And I think as a band, we all just want to keep making things bigger and better. We're always looking forwards to bigger stage production, more intense performances, more gear, just more guitar pedals and stuff. I think we just want it to grow in all directions.